Because who better to break down this incredibly childish instance of interpersonal violence than me? Just like every other person on the internet has done their take on it. But good afternoon. And ladies, right? I recently learned in the comments, I really truly just assumed that given that my audience is like 98% male, that it was just a rounding error. I really thought it was just occasionally a couple of the viewers lived at home and logged in on mom's computer or something. But no, in fact, I have female viewers. And so they correctly pointed out that I should be doing ladies and gentlemen. The thing we got to break down, maybe the biggest news of the week, the news cycle. That's right. Chris Rock getting slapped by Will Smith. We're going to break it down, right? Because who better to break down this incredibly childish instance of interpersonal violence than me? Just like every other person on the internet has done their take on it. But you think I won't? You think I won't? I will. I'm not too proud. I'm here to make content. I'm here to make content for you guys.
This job tonight.
Also, congrats to Telruin for beating his arachnophobia. Congrats.
Javier Bardem and his wife are both nominated. Now, if she...
Okay, I'm going to point something out for starters. Chris Rock, you know, he's been around a while. First off, both Chris Rock and Will Smith are both people who basically became A-list celebs in the 90s. And this is one of the things that this bothers me about US media culture is that for decades, it was like the defining media landscape, right? You could go to any country in the world and they would know American movies, American singers, American comedians, right? Chris Rock and Will Smith, Bad Boys, Independence Day. I mean, they were mega stars, ultra stars. But like, look, here we are. It's been 30 years since the 90s. And we still are seeing the same Chris Rock, Will Smith. Where's all the new celebrities? Like, have we not grown any new megastars? I mean, I think the answer is pretty clear. American megastars are still megastars. They just don't give a shit about the Oscars, right? I mean, I think the new media landscape, right, which is the buzzword term for social media people, one, I think it's done two things. First, I think it's given us the largest stars are from a different place, right? Look at like Emma Chamberlain, for example, you know? But second, I think it's fractured it. So for example, in the 90s, right, you have to think you had a television that was controlled by NBC, CBS, and ABC. And maybe if you paid a little more, cable. You had new magazines and newspapers, which were controlled by really a handful of big publishers. And that was it. And you got your information from your friends. And that was it. And that was all. And never before or since has there been so much mass media reaching into every home, and it was so pervasive, but it came from only a few sources, only a tiny number of sources. And it actually kind of is worrying because it's worrying because there was only like one source of information. And so if everyone agreed that the public shouldn't know about something, then they just didn't publish it. But as a result, celebrity, the mega celeb, it was the era of the mega celeb, right? The era of Michael Jordan at his peak. So yeah, this was an unprecedented height. But the answer is these guys are vestiges of the past, man. They are living in the past.
He loses. He can't win.
Right? Like Penelope Cruz also was huge back in that, like, where's the young celebrities? Any of them?
He is praying that Will Smith wins. Like, please, Lord. Jada.
Yep, Will Smith.
I love you. G.I. Jane 2. Can't wait to see.
Yeah, so this is what's interesting. So Obviously, people have pointed out that Will Smith was laughing until his wife looked pissed. And we know the context a little bit. If you don't know, what I think is important context is that Will Smith was pretty badly humiliated, I'll say, publicly by his wife when she, in her desperation to stay relevant, launched like a podcast or a talk show or something. And she literally talked about how she often cheated on Will. And I think he was there when he told her about it and was like clearly deeply distraught and pretty humiliated. So I'm like fascinated by this instance for a bunch of reasons. One, because these are two men in their, I think, 50s, maybe even like mid 50s, which I know people are like, oh, Chris Rock looks great, but I don't know, man. He's had some work. There's some filler here. There's definitely some filler in his forehead. Definitely has that like plastic surgery, like ends of the eyebrows are kind of up a little bit, right? It's just weird, man. Why can't you just be a man your age? Why can't you just be a healthy 50 something? There ain't nothing wrong with it.
All right?
Right? Yeah, Will Smith, same thing. His wife looking pissed. He's laughing along. She looks like, oh, she's over it.
That was a nice one. Okay.
All right. He even acknowledges that some people are booing, right? Which is interesting.
Out here. Uh-oh, Richard.
Yeah, people are cheering, right? Yeah, it's very dramatic. He dramatically slaps him. And he walks away thinking he's like a badass, man. This I hate this for a bunch of reasons. I really do.
Wow.
But I didn't actually, I haven't actually heard what he said.
Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
All right, he stated what happened. That's a true comedian, right? He's pretty stunned. And yet he is like, all right, well, I can just say what happened. That's uncontroversial. Restate the obvious.
Wow.
Yeah, Will Smith looks like he's still upset, yelling about his wife.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Yeah, this is, okay, one of the things, if you ever see a good viral Karen video, one of the behaviors that they engage in, this is often when someone is out of productive outlets, like verbally, is often they'll repeat the same thing like dozens of times. Sometimes they'll say it again and again and again and again in quick succession because they believe that if they fill the space with their words that you won't be able to explain them. Yeah, you won't be able to like enter the conversation. This is really common when the way of like when people who really want to have the last word. Well, if you do nothing but spam words for 3 minutes straight so that the other person can't talk, then you get the last word and it's as though you get to tell yourself that you won. So Will Smith just repeating this thing over and over. Yeah, it's childish, man. It's childish. And he looks like he's having some sort of bad
Going to, okay? Okay. That was a greatest night in the history of television. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Also sort of funny that he's got like his things are kind of sideways a little bit. Yeah, this is, and it's funny, Gu Balerco points out in chat, and the Oscars have been losing viewership for years. Again, I can't imagine why, given that the average age of an attendee is like 60, including these two guys, right? And Chris Rock, I feel for him. This is pretty like, even a G.I. Jane 2 joke. Like, you're referencing a movie from the 90s, man. It's so weird. This whole thing is very strange to me. And, okay, so, yeah, Will Smith feeling pretty humiliated. But again, like, I just hope that when I am these guys' age, or when I'm Will Smith's age, that I don't behave like him. slapping people in public. You know, I don't like the cultural move that says that words and violence are the same. I think if you've experienced interpersonal violence at any scale, from, you know, being robbed all the way, you know, like accosted, like personally robbed, all the way up to, you know, direct warfare, direct combat, you know that violence and words are vastly different, right? Not to say that words can't hurt somebody, they can, but they're not the same thing. And the belief that someone can say something, especially something as innocuous as that, and then warrant getting hit, bothers me. You know who else is guilty of this? Jorge Masvidal, MMA fighter. Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington. They obviously had their 5-round fight after a whole bunch of talking smack. Colby Covington took home the W. Masvidal had his moments, but didn't. And it's kind of a drag, right? Masvidal is a fan favorite and really looked like he could have been a title contender. Colby Covington is extremely outspoken. A big part of his gimmick is talking a lot of shit, crossing lines. Some of it is to get in people's head to win psychologically before the fight starts, but a lot of it is just to sell tickets to fights, and that's how they do it. And Masvidal decided that Colby Covington had said some things about his family, right? Usually just brash Colby Covington stuff, and Masvidal actually jumped him after the fight. Wore a mask and a hoodie, you know, knocked out one of his teeth or chipped one of his teeth. And in what universe is this acceptable? How have we decided this is acceptable? Somebody talks shit on you, especially in the public eye and social media, then just talk shit back on them, right? You don't, like, words are not violence. And I don't know how more clearly to express this. And I worry that we are fast making normal that if you say the wrong thing, and not even like, there are some things you can say that are dangerous. The classic example is like you're in a crowded movie theater and you yell fire, causing a stampede and people get hurt. That's words that are hurting people. If you're, let's say, a military commander and you say, soldier, I order you to kill those civilians, right? Those are words that cause hurt. But I think they are the extreme exception that kind of proves the rule. Most other words that you say are just words. And the fact that this is a decamillionaire, someone with well over $10 million, probably over $100 million. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith are easily worth over $100 million. And yet you think you need to settle your debates by hitting somebody. This is the most childish, embarrassing things. I mean, honestly, I'm sort of embarrassed for Will Smith.
Okay.
So I said, no, it was supposed to be my pentakill. Why did you do that to me? I killed, I know, 1, 2, 3 for champion.